All right. Hi, everyone. It's Jennifer Trask, and I have a special guest here with me today. It's Jackie McCann-Scott from The Invested Mama, as some of you might know her to be. And in this video, Jackie's going to take us through how she went from, so when we met, I guess, it was 2 years ago, and Jackie, in the last 2 years, she has built a full-time, gorgeous brand, become a well-known blogger. She has went from helping another financial advisor with their business to actually growing her own, moving into her own office, hiring new help with her brand, with her beautiful new brand. Jackie has also, late last year in 2014, was awarded the Newfoundland and Labrador Organization of Women Entrepreneurs Innovation Award. So it's a provincial award for the work she's done in her business. So she has had massive success in a short period of time. And what Jackie is going to, we're going to go through the journey with Jackie today is, what were some of those real distinctions that helped you make the leap to discover the brand, to building a practice full-time, your own practice, to even getting such an amazing distinction. I mean, entrepreneurship is so big here in Newfoundland to be picked out of. There's some amazing businesses here, so that's a really big award. So that's what Jackie is going to take us through, so that others can learn from what's happened with you to help make those really big steps. She's such a big success story, crazy. So congratulations, first of all.
Thank you,
and thank you for being here with all of us.
There you go.
So, Jackie, why don't you let everybody know, first of all, where you were when we met 2 years ago, and of what we just discussed, where you are today, and then we'll get into some of the distinctions. But let them know a bit of your background, I guess. So that they can...
Well, I had been working in the financial services world for more than 10 years when we met. Actually, about a dozen years. But the last 2 of those years, I had transitioned into working as a financial advisor.
Yeah.
And early on, I've always loved the industry. I get excited about insurance and investments, which
Not a lot of people do.
But I just see it as such a catalyst for changing people's lives and the safety and security that it brings to families. So I was busy. I was already in the industry I wanted to be in, doing the work I wanted to do. And as you mentioned, in your intro, I was helping another advisor with a thriving practice. So it wasn't that I felt like I wasn't, working hard and doing things that I enjoyed. But I realized I didn't want to just be busy. I wanted to be working with intention.
Big difference.
Absolutely.
Working with intention. Okay.
And the people that I enjoyed working with were, women like myself that were, trying to be responsible members of their community, of their, raising their families, raising, their profiles in their own companies, and just, head down, pushing away. And I realized that I had, I was giving them advice about, intention, and that they're in control of their destiny and that they shouldn't let other people make decisions for them. But I wasn't necessarily taking that advice.
Okay.
I'll admit it, confessions here.
Nobody's perfect. We all do stuff like that sometimes.
Exactly. And, it's so funny that you can look at somebody else's reality and, with, such clarity, and sometimes you're just so entrenched in your own world that you don't have those same moments.
Yeah.
And your name was actually brought to me several times by various invested mamas that I knew. And I was like, okay, and we had gotten together and had a coffee.
I remember downtown.
Yeah, and it was a nice conversation, and you were just so, high energy and so positive, and being around you just made me feel like this wasn't, something that was a pipe dream. It was possible.
Yeah.
So when I had the opportunity to hire you in March of that, following year, I did.
Yep.
And you just, the shift really has been that now I feel I work with intention. And when you work with intention, when you know what it is you're trying to accomplish, knowing what to say yes to and knowing what to say no to becomes so much easier.
Definitely.
And I remember that hearing at a Wayne Dyer event, and I've said this to you before, when you're doing what you're meant to be doing, the universe will fully support you, and it comes easy.
Yes.
And it's been amazing to me since I got clear,
yes,
as recently as this past week, how the universe has done just that.
Yes.
It's like this is what I want, and I'm clear on what I want. Okay, here you go. And
really, is it that easy?
And I've said to you, God, that wasn't hard. And you said, why do you think it has to be hard?
I'm all about the easy, as easy as possible.
And I guess it's because, we're raised to believe that you got to be, stressed out and overworked to be successful, but it doesn't have to be that way.
No.
When you know what it is you're trying to accomplish and what you want to do and you put it out there, it isn't hard. Everything is always working out for you, as
Absolutely,
you say, right?
Yeah.
So that's been the biggest shift is the clarity. Now I have my setbacks and I have my days. If you ask my family, there's sometimes it's still a little bit like, oh, it's too much.
Yeah,
but
Jackie is a mom of 2, actually, and a wife, and has an extended family, of course, as well. So, so she's got a very full life.
Yes.
Other than her
absolutely,
business.
Which I love. But
so let's talk about, because I gave her a little bit of prep time. I don't know. Anyways, I gave her some ideas. So so not the exact questions. So what do you think are, say, the top 2 or 3 distinctions from a mindset point of view that really helped you make shifts along the way that helped create all this success for you?
The big thing, I recall working through your Mindset and Marketing Mastery program and doing some of the dream work and talking about what your day and week, your ideal day, week, month, and year would look like. And writing it down, and all of a sudden I'm looking at it on paper and I'm thinking, so why isn't it that way? Right. And realizing that anything truly is possible. The first gift you gave me when we started working together was this lovely journal, Anything is Possible.
Yeah.
And, and it was lovely, and it's Helen Keller said it, and I'm thinking, well, if she believes it, anyone should.
Right.
And,
yes.
But, it's funny how you can see things multiple times but not really see them until one day you just have a moment where,
yes.
Oh, yeah, I am an entrepreneur. I do run my own business. I am in control of what my day, my week, my month, my year looks like.
Absolutely.
As much as any of us can be.
Mm-hmm.
There are other people's lives that intersect at times. But again, I realized what I'm writing down can be if I choose it to be. That's the biggest mindset shift that happened.
Okay.
The other was realizing that as I've already said, it doesn't have to be hard.
Right.
When the universe brings you these things, take the blinders off, see them for what they are, and and accept them.
Yeah.
Accept them as if you deserve them because you do.
Because everyone deserves a life they love.
You absolutely do.
Absolutely.
Everybody.
Yeah.
And I find the other thing is that I've learned through the mindset piece that I'm very aware of energy when I'm meeting with people and when I'm even seeking out resources to help grow my business. And I had to be willing to say, if my energy with you doesn't feel right, having the courage to stop that before it goes any further.
Right.
And realizing how detrimental that truly can be to your overall vision. Because I have made some business decisions over the last couple of years, and brought resources in and realized this is not working. And realizing that it's okay. You're actually doing them a favor when you acknowledge
absolutely
that our energies aren't aligned. We're not on the same page here. Set them free. I used to look at it as, rejecting someone, but I was actually setting them free.
Yes.
So I'm very aware now to not ignore that energy feeling that I get.
Yeah.
Trust your gut.
Trust your gut. It's a big one. Yeah. I think actually, I'm glad you said that because I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, they think is it really that easy just to trust your gut? And then usually the first few times that you have to actually trust your gut, it's kind of big leaps of faith.
Oh, huge.
Right? And actually, I want to, now this is of course because we were working outside, I remember you telling me this once about how when making the leap for you into your brand. So Jackie's brand is Invested Mama, which you might be able to see on these cards. But the financial planning industry is a kind of been a pretty black white, like it's a more, not a lot of colorful brands, I guess, shall we say, and unique ideas. And I remember our early day conversations that taking the leap into a brand that was very unique and different for your industry was really hard for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feared ridicule from my peers.
Yes.
And then I realized they're not the clients I'm trying to attract. They probably are getting their financial advice somewhere else. Just saying. And it was like, your line about when your marketing speaks to your target audience, it's not going to speak to everybody else, because not everybody is your target audience.
Exactly.
And I've since, I immediately loved, but I've totally embraced Invested Mama in all her glory, and really could care less what anyone other than my target audience, of course, thinks about it.
Right.
Because I love it. And I know when I meet my ideal client, because they get the same, I love it. Yeah. They get the same light in their eye. Awesome. It's for me, isn't it? It's for me. You know what I need. And I'm like, I got you back, girl. Yeah. And it's the best thing I ever did was committing to that. I can't imagine my life without it now.
So can you remember what sort of gave you the, all right, I'm going to do it? Like, do you remember what that was for you?
Well, again, the universe told me it was okay.
Okay. She sharpened her intuition skills.
I sharpened, because once I put Invested Mama out there, and I guess we put her out there, really, we started talking about her in March. I talk about her like she's a person.
Your brand has its own voice and energy.
And life, yeah, absolutely.
You may call her.
Yes, but we put it out there, and immediately, like within weeks, we love this brand. We want you to write for our newspaper, because we think this brand speaks to money in a way that others haven't spoken to money, and will be relatable to, a big portion of our audience. And I'm like, well, if that's not validation and confirmation from the universe, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
I had mentioned that writing is something I enjoy and would like to do under the Invested Mama business model. And like you say, you put it out there. And so, and again, saying it, the first few times you say it, it kind of sticks in your throat. You're trying to get it out there.
Yeah.
But then you say it a few more times, and you see those lights in your target audience, when, I love that. And it just, now, there's no doubt anymore. There hasn't been for a long time.
No, that's right. Yeah. So now let's move into the marketing piece. So what were some of the most important distinctions to help you build your business from the marketing standpoint?
I guess realizing and forgiving myself for knowing that I couldn't do everything that I wanted to do from a marketing point of view right out of the gates.
Right.
And being very, very specific and saying, okay, rather than just feel bad about not being able to do everything,
let's important.
Figure out what we're going to do first,
right,
and why we're going to do it,
right,
and let's gauge the response that one thing that we're getting really good at does.
Yes.
Then once we've kind of got a system with that, now let's figure out what the next logical step is.
Right.
And again, take some time, be kind to yourself, figure out how best to do that, and then we'll go do that. Right. And a great example of that was, I immediately wanted to do a website as soon as I started the business. But I hadn't really been with the target audience enough yet to know what would benefit them.
Right.
And I rushed into that and then realized, no, I'm not ready for this. I don't have a clear enough vision about what a website would serve in the grander scheme of things.
Right.
So from a marketing point of view, it's always about, again, just like with your business, what's the intention of this? Mm-hmm. Making sure you have the resources and the time to put into it, because you want to do it to the best of your ability. And then gauging the results from it once you've done it to make sure that, it's still the right thing to be doing.
Yeah.
Right? That's been a big marketing thing for me.
So that's fascinating, because I know there's a lot of coaches watching in there might be thinking, I don't have my website up yet. I can't do anything. And Jackie, so we just told you in 2 years she went from helping someone else to literally going into a new office, having to hire help because her own practice is thriving without a website. No website.
Yeah.
We did some other things, but there was no website.
Yes.
So this is no excuses.
That's right.
But I just say I mean it more in a, people, don't get me wrong, websites are important. I mean, today people will Google you, so the faster you can get them up, the better.
Yes.
However, it's not going to make or break you if you don't have your website in a certain period of time.
No. And I would argue that rushing into it just for the sake of getting it done would end up hurting you more than helping you.
Yeah, if
You're
you
right.
don't, yeah.
What I've done is, again, because I want to make sure that everything I do adds value to my client experience, is I held a website focus group with
She did.
ideal clients.
Ideal
We sat for 2-3 hours. I had a list of questions that we went through. I recorded our conversation, and I've listened back over it many times since that initial focus group. And so when I met just this new year with the web designer
person,
that I'm working with now, I was very clear on what I wanted, and I was able to share that insight with her. So I'm feeling much more, assured that this website is going to be a good experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So another thing that seems to come up that I think is important in your marketing piece, it sounds like really identifying your ideal client was an important factor for you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
do you want to talk about that a little bit?
How so? I guess what?
So one reason I asked to talk about it, and because I'm big on it, as you know, is you're in an industry where you can help a lot of different people. In fact, all coaches are.
Yes.
You know, if you're a health coach, you can help anybody.
Absolutely.
Technically.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want your business to grow, you can't help everybody.
No.
So that's what I mean. And making the transition, like, did you feel like it was time? Did you enjoy the process? Did you feel constricted at all? Were you excited about it? Like, how was the process for you?
The process for me didn't feel restricted because I realized that the target client that I'm going after, that female, financial decision maker, whether it be in her business or in her household, I think has been greatly overlooked by my industry.
Right.
So, and I know there's a lot of them out there that, will feel that they can relate to the Invested Mama brand and to what I stand for in the industry more so than maybe some of my competitors.
Right.
So for me, it wasn't difficult to commit to it. And once you commit to it, I think it's important to know, it doesn't mean you can never do business with anybody else.
No. Yeah.
Because, you would think that a financial advisor whose business is Invested Mama would have no male clients, and that's not true.
Right.
Now typically it's the women in their lives that send them in to talk to me.
Right.
But,
that's right.
Go
see Jackie.
That's right.
Yeah.
But they, you will still pick up clients outside of that.
Yes.
But again, for me, I just never thought to do it before.
Right.
It was you explaining that and describing that, taking me through that process and asking the questions that would describe who that person would be.
Right.
That, if anything, the more I did it, the more excited I got about being focused.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm really glad you said the one thing. I just want to make this distinction because I know I talk to enough coaches. It's really important. So one is when you first start to niche, people sometimes feel like, oh my God, but they think they're going to make less money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is, it's not, because if something goes wrong with your eye, do you go to your GP or do you go to the optometrist? You go straight to the optometrist because they're the eye doctor.
Yes, right.
So I think it's important to know, though, for coaches, even though your marketing is going to speak to one specific ideal client, if you get opportunities from people who don't fit into that mold, you still get the choice as the business person to take them on or not. So one of the things I'll say to my coaches, is, especially if their practice isn't full yet, I say, if someone comes in and they're not your ideal client, but you feel good about them, you feel there's a match and you can help them, if you want to take them, take them.
Absolutely.
Right? It's really not a big deal, but don't market to them.
That's right. It's where you spend your resources.
Where do you spend your resources?
Yes, that's it. Because we all have a limited number, and I'm excited to, be growing and bringing somebody on, and and having that help.
Yeah.
But I'm sure if we keep doing all the right things, that it's only a matter of time before it's going to be too much for two people. So
it will.
Resource constrict. Having a limited number of resources, I think is just a reality.
Yeah.
In some ways, in other ways, nothing is truly limitless.
No, because then you get resourceful.
Yes, you get resourceful. Yeah. But one of the ways we get resourceful is to find ways to not waste our time doing things that don't add value.
Beautiful.
Right? That's the big thing.
Yes.
I was really, really bad at that. And some days I still am. Some days I can say, okay, I'm spending time on things here now. And one of the things you've talked to me about is, not doing email until you've got
Yes.
your most important task of the day
Big.
done.
Big. That's a good practice.
And I've taken to writing what I have to get done, my big item, on a sticky and put it on the corner of my. So if I get the temptation to go in and click the email, I'm like,
right.
oh, there it is, staring at me, reminding me, no, I'm not done yet. Till I'm done, don't you dare open that email.
That's right.
And whether that's getting this week's blog written or, whatever it is, getting the client proposal finalized, whatever I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that I picked up through some events at Enlow is having your top 5 for the day.
Yeah.
And and I was thinking to myself, that's something that I want my assistant to really get keen on too, is starting every morning with what's our top 5 for today. Whether that's the top 5 people we need to talk to, or the top 5 things that need to get done, but just 5. And if I get my 5 done and she gets her 5 done, that's 10 a day times 5 days a week. How productive is that going to be? Because if you're really honest with yourself, how many times do you get to the end of the day and say, now, did I truly do 5 meaningful things today?
Right.
Probably not sometimes.
Yeah.
But if they're there staring you in the face, so little chunks, manageable, that's what I'm all about. Keep it simple.
It was when I remember there was one point in my business years ago where I was like, I need to learn how to become super productive.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'd go through days and I'd say, God, I was so busy all day. What did I do? Like, I didn't really get anything done. There's nothing done. Mm-hmm. And that was one of my biggest things I implemented that helped me the most. Pre-planning my day and then chunking down big projects into multiple projects, so the planner and A-type personality in me liked ticking things off the list. Whereas if you have a big project that's just constantly on your list, you're like, I'm not getting anywhere
with that.
Mm-hmm. But when you chunk it down, and then that's how you can also plan how long it's actually going to take you and so on and so forth, that stuff just changed my life.
Yes.
The pre-planning and chunking.
I remember you saying on one of your webinars, if you get nothing out of this webinar, but this one thing.
Pre-plan your day.
Pre-plan your day. And it's true, because coming into your office in the morning, knowing what is on your agenda, right off the bat, you're that much further ahead.
Tons.
Right? Yeah. And even the night before, you sleep better.
You do.
When you know what's the goal for tomorrow.
Yeah.
I actually get, and my husband and kids will attest to this, when I've got too many things and I haven't taken the time to prioritize and break it down.
Yeah.
When I'm overwhelmed, I am not fit to live with. I will admit, and I will publicly say, I'm sorry to my husband and my children.
If you're watching this, make sure you comment.
Yeah, that's right. He'll just keep replaying. What was that again?
Yeah.
You're sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. I know. And but you're just so overwhelmed that you can't pull yourself back in. Like you're just, here she goes, stay out of her way because she's mad.
Yeah.
Right? And it has nothing to do with what you're ranting about. It has to do with the fact that you haven't sat back and said, what is it I can accomplish? And a huge thing I did before Christmas this year was stop taking new clients.
Yes, you did. That's right.
Because I was bringing people in and not honoring the timelines that I normally would have honored with the clients because there just wasn't enough hours in the day.
Yeah.
And I wanted to spend Christmas with my family, don't we all?
Yes.
So I just said, I would love to work with you. Right now, my client, database is full, but towards the middle to latter part of January, I'd love to touch base again. If you can't wait and you need to go find advice between now and then, I wish you all the best. But I just can't deal with you right now. And once, I didn't lose anybody from that. They appreciate it.
Yeah, the honesty.
Well, I'm glad you didn't set me up for disappointment. So
That's
thank
right.
you for that. And have a good Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. When you're working with your target clients, they get your life because they understand it. They're living it.
Yeah.
So hearing, I'm overwhelmed right now and I can't take on you as a client, but I'd love to. They feel like, okay, well, it just made you that much more human in their eyes.
Absolutely.
And they went, okay, she's a chick doing the best she
Okay.
can too. It's all good.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, is there anything else that you think were kind of pivotal for you in moving forward, or any last words of advice to the coaches out there who are trying to get their practice full time and maybe going into phase 2 like you?
Yes. Trust your instincts, definitely. When it feels right, it probably is. I was a chronic people pleaser, and I often let my direction get influenced by how I thought other people would react to it. And you got to stop doing that.
Yeah.
The only person you need to be concerned about is, you know, how you're going to react to it.
Right.
Because, you know, if you're a decent person, you're not going to make decisions that are inherently going to hurt other people anyway.
No.
So, you know, just trust your gut and trust that you can do whatever it is you put your mind to. You know, it's funny that I tell my kids that all the time, but you stop believing it yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and even, you know, to think that I would be able to confidently sign a lease to take on my own office space and confidently, you know, hire someone knowing that I will have the resources to pay them and you know, and keep their lives moving forward. You know, you've got to believe anything's possible, because if it's possible for me, it's possible for anyone else.
Absolutely. Wonderful. It's great words of advice.
Right.
Everything is possible.
It is.
Oh, thank you so much for being here, Jackie.
And thank you for everything.
Oh, you're
She
welcome.
rocks.
Oh, so do you. It's really easy when your clients are awesome.
There you go.
Well, easier at least. And now I want to hear from you. So I'd like to know, first of all, if you have any questions for Jackie, you can put them below in the comments. But I'd also like to know what's the big thing that really stood out for you that you're going to start to implement in your business and your life. We'd really love to hear it. And of course, if you have any comments or questions, I'm sure, Jackie, you'll be around to answer them.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And so will I. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being here. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.